I'm not just saying this because I like Arc the Lad 2 more, and because I'm biased, because Arc the Lad 2's Final Boss is like the worst thing about that game easily, but I would rather do it than that. Like, no cap. I see now for the first time through thy eyes. The mortals are indeed weak. Foolish, verily a collection of contradictions, and yet they are magnificent. Ooh, spooky. I'm gonna be the one to say it. Ryu looks better with blue hair. There, I said it. I realized then that Ryu, who had traveled for so long and so far with us, was no longer with us. Yeah, Ryu looks so much better with blue hair. Ryu. But at the same time, I knew in my heart that it was still Ryu. I haven't talked about it, but I do like... You're Ryu, aren't you? I do like Nina narrating throughout the game. Yes, Nina, I am Ryu, but... Ryu talks! I'm also Fo Lu. This is why he talks. So what next? What's gonna happen to the world now? I understand now what Fo Lu was trying to tell me. What he really wanted to say is that this world does not need gods. Yo, world without gods, you also play Grandia 2? Ryu, you don't mean... That is why I'm gonna cast him out. Just like you wanted me to, Deus. Really neat that Ryu and Fo Lu fuse in the end. Ryu said he was going to cast out the gods. Cast out the gods, you say? Okay, Breath of Fire 4. You're a good game. I'll let you have your time with the ending. I don't have to make this too long, though. I have been streaming for over 6 hours. It's 10 o'clock at night. I have to go eat something, and I probably, just in general, like, am starting to feel the cramps from sitting for so long. You know, in my defense, I only started to feel like an hour ago. I think at the 5-ish hour mark, I was still like, oh, I don't want to be done streaming. I was still kind of like, you know, in the mode of like, I gotta finish this game. I don't think the ending is too long for this game. I know in Breath of Fire 3 it was really short. As far as ending standards go, pretty short. I don't think it's too long in this one, though. Can't really remember how long, but I'm sure it's not too long. You know, I could start talking about the game now. Until we have dialogue. I mean, the final fight was fine. I don't think the final fight was bad. It was a little brutal. But, like, I don't know. If it was shorter, I wouldn't have minded it. Final boss was fine. It was a little long, though. Way too long. They would lose their power and live out their lives as ordinary mortals. I really don't like how endgame Breath of Fire 4 is so reliant on magic. Like, I really don't like that. They had a good rhythm going where, like, physical and magic were kind of balanced. Magic might have been better, but physical and magic were balanced. But at the end of the game, like, it felt like magic was the only viable method of damage. And I don't really like that. Okay, yeah, this ending is really short because I remember this. Whoa, what's this? The Endless are fading away. This makes me mad. This actually makes the ending, like, ridiculous. It would seem the gods are dead. Yeah, this is really stupid. But we needn't worry about that. Yuna's just alive. He doesn't get to pay for any repercussions. He doesn't get to, like, die or anything or suffer a fate. He can just keep creating gods or need... Yeah, it's ridiculous. This is, like, terrible. This is enough to make me say this ending kind of sucks, honestly. Like someone in chat was saying too, they were meant to have a scene where you were supposed to kill Yuna, but they didn't put it in the final game, and what you're left with is the villain just getting away with everything he's done, basically. So, yeah. Anyway, I didn't like the gameplay being so reliant on magic at the end. It kind of felt like it made the stuff tedious, like the bosses and stuff. Especially the final fight. Driving out all the gods in the world. I thought we were done with dialogue. I guess we're not, though. That's a pretty radical solution. This game is a 7 out of 10. I think it's really good, though. Now you, Ryu, are also mortal, who will grow old and someday die. Yeah, well, you know. Thus is the way of being a human. You be done so I can talk? Me? Oh, I decided I'd stick. I wish the text was faster. I'd stick around. Cool. Fun. I'm interested in seeing what happens after this. Yeah, okay. Breath of Fire 5 doesn't exist. Apparently Dragon Quarter sucks. I guess being inside this armor's not so bad after all. Okay, this is gonna be weird to talk because it's gonna show the credits and the people talking. I might just let the dialogue stay there and just talk through this then. I really have to get my opinions out. It's a 7 out of 10 game. I think Breath of Fire 4 is really good. I think it's a good game. SMT is the only consistent series where magic and physical are equal the whole game. Well, no, it's fine for the game to have one better than the other, but when the gap is so big, like in this game, it's a problem. It's fine for the game to have, like, oh, magic is better, like, in this game. It's fine, but, like, in this game, it feels like magic is, like, way better than physical. Physical feels worthless in this game. Even Trails in the Sky. Trails in the Sky is an example I can think of where magic is just a better option, the first Trails in the Sky. But even physical wasn't terrible, but magic was clearly the better one. But in this game, it feels like you're punished for using physical. Empire's finished. There's still work to be done. I'm talking through this. The dialogue's there. You can read it. It goes so slow. Where do I start? The gameplay's fun. I like the combo system, and I like how everyone's part of the game. But by the end of it, I was like, I think Breath of Fire 3 had it better. I liked X turns, and again, the bosses later get really long. And again, when it's so reliant on magic, it makes Cray, Sias kind of useless. And even Ryu's non-dragon form. But I mean, with Ryu, you always want to go dragon form. That's the whole point of Breath of Fire. The combat was good, though. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's that much better than 3, though. I think they're about tied. I think on paper, this game has better gameplay than 3. But I think execution-wise, they're both about the same amount of fun. I don't think this game is that much better gameplay-wise than 3 because it had some faults. The music's pretty good. I think I prefer Breath of Fire 3's though because I just like the groovy, jazzy soundtrack a lot more. But this music was really good. Yeah. The games look good. I think I actually like the style. The style grows on me as I play it more. I think I like the style just barely more than Breath of Fire 3, even though both are really good. Even though this was the first time we had heard of this terrible event. Somehow I had the strangest feeling. What I really want to talk about with Breath of Fire 4 is the story and the characters, because that's like the bulk of it, and I haven't been too vocal about it. I think the story in the game is good enough. I think I liked it more 7 years ago than I did this time around. And I'll get into why. But if the gods that beings that guide and shape our world were to disappear, I don't know the answer to that. What an open-ended way to finish it. I think the ending is neat, but Yuna... But there's one thing I know, and that's what it will work out in the end. Somehow. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the ending, mostly because, like, Yuna never really... Right, Ryu? Okay, is that the end? Can I talk now? Cool. Love it. They don't show anything about Cray, Urshin, and Sias. Okay, now I'm free to talk. Oh, they didn't bother translating the credits. I think they were rushed. My guide said about Yuna, it's good enough that in the bad ending of the completed game, Yuna dies along with every living person in the world. Yeah, we're gonna see. I'm gonna put a bonus video on YouTube for the bad ending. I will. I'll do it. Yeah, where was I? I think I enjoyed the story more 7 years ago than I did this time. I still think it's good. I think the way I would describe it is, I think the opening of the game, you know, the beginning of the game is meant to be slow. It's fine to have your openings slow, because, like, you have to set stuff up. Well, Breath of Fire 3 was really slow in the early game for too long. This game, actually, Act 2 was my favorite. I liked Act 2's, like, reveals. I liked the stuff with Mami and Folu, the Deus and Urshin reveal. I think Act 2 was, like, really good. I think the problem with Breath of Fire 4, though, is it kind of misses the landing. I think the early game is better than the later game. I think the first half is better than the second half. I think part 3 and 4 just kind of, mostly part 3, kind of drags its feet. Like, nothing really happens. You get Folu segments every now and then, and everything about Folu is great. I love his character, and I love his journey. Seeing everything you get to go through with Folu is pretty great. Folu is, like, the best part about this game, hands down. But I think part 3 just kind of drags. Like, nothing really happens, and you get doses of the Empire and Yuna, but, like, not much. I feel like part 3, like, it goes on for way too long where nothing happens, and part 4, like, the ending is not the best, but I think it's better than part 3. I think the story's fine. I think it's good. When it comes to comparing this game to Breath of Fire 3's story, I think it's the opposite. With Breath of Fire 3, the game's beginning is my least favorite, but it gets better as the game goes on, like in the adulthood arc, chasing down the gods and Myria, and the Brood and stuff in Breath of Fire 3. It's the opposite, I think. I think the early game of Breath of Fire 3 is worse than the late game, story-wise, and in this game I feel like it's the flip. It's the reverse. I like the first half more than the second half, basically. I'm not a fan of the ending, basically, because Yuna just doesn't get the... Yuna, like, that's another thing. Like, Folu is obviously the villain of the game, but, like, Folu isn't really a villain. He's more of, like, an antagonist. He's not really a bad person. So, like, obviously, you know, Folu's gonna be the final boss, but, like, Yuna was supposed to fill the role of, like, the villain character, but they didn't do anything with that. They kind of failed that. And again, the game was rushed, but even still, yeah. But yeah, the ending I'm not a fan of, honestly. It's, like, kind of annoying how Yuna just, even if Yuna eventually dies, right? It's not like he actually paid for his crimes or anything. He just died peacefully, I guess. So, the game doesn't show us Yuna getting punished for his actions, basically, and that's lame. I think the story's good. I think in part 3 it just kind of drags. I think it just drags the longer it goes. And there's so many gameplay segments in Breath of Fire 4, like the mini-games, and stuff like having to collect certain things to move on, and parts where things don't happen. There's so many parts in Breath of Fire 4 where the game just drags, and the pacing takes a dip. So, you know. And lastly, I want to talk about the characters. I think they're good. I think it's kind of the same thing I said about Breath of Fire 3. Like, in Breath of Fire 3, I think half of the characters are good. Some of them didn't get much more. I think Nina, Cray, and... who else? Nina, Cray, and Urshin. Urshin's probably my... other than Folu. Folu's my favorite character. Other than Folu, I'd say Urshin or Cray is my favorite. Cray, Nina, and Urshin, like, they're good characters. I don't love them, but I think they're good enough characters. And... unfortunately, Sias doesn't get anything because of the whole censorship issue, and just other stuff. And Ursula is cool, but, like, they don't do much with Ursula. Ursula comes late in the game. They probably had something planned for Ursula, but didn't put it in the final game because they didn't have time. So Ursula's just kind of there. I would say I like Ursula, but she doesn't really have a lot going for her either. It's kind of the same as in Breath of Fire 3, where I thought Momo, Nina, and the other characters were good, but then some of them weren't that great. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, these are the best characters of all time. Like, I like Nina, Cray, and Urshin, but, like, more could have been done with them, I guess. It's the same thing as Breath of Fire 3. So, you know. I think the thing is, Breath of Fire 4 focuses more on the lore and the story and not enough on the character development for characters that aren't Folu. basically. And obviously Ryu, but Ryu's a silent protagonist, so they can't really do much with that. But yeah, you know, Bolu is like the best character in this game, and I will always think that Tipo should have been handled in a similar way, because in Tipo just comes out of nowhere in Breath of Fire 3. But in this game, it's like, it would have been cool if like we saw more of Tipo in 3, similar to how Folu was presented. That would have been really cool. Because seeing Folu in this game, I'm like, yeah, this should have been how they handled Tipo, because Tipo could have been like on the opposite side of Ryu, on the goddess Miria side, and maybe like finding ways to persuade Ryu and trying to present his ideals or Miria's ideals, whatever. But Folu is it. Folu is like the best thing about this game. I really liked his journey, and I liked playing as him. It was just fun. Even if the gameplay was easy, it was more about a victory lap and just being an overpowered final boss. It was just so cool to play as Folu. It just felt great, I guess. And Ryu's story was good enough, but like, yeah, Folu, I think I like the Folu stuff more than the Ryu stuff, because I don't feel like the characters in Ryu's side get all that much, unfortunately. Like, Prey, Nina, and Urshan are good. Urshan especially, I think Urshan's pretty funny, but they don't really get much at the end of the day. It's mostly focused on Ryu and Folu, which is good, but, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, like, exactly what you're saying. Like, Folu wasn't evil, and Folu served a purpose well, but I feel like the game suffered for not having a villain character. Yuna was that villain character, but they didn't do much with Yuna, so it was weird. And I think that's a big reason of why Part 3 dragged. I think more of Yuna would have fixed that, probably. Nothing really happens in Act 3, which is why it's just the worst act. Minigames are fine. I don't think they're really good. Some of them are kind of bad. The dragon forms are a huge downgrade from Breath of Fire 3. I think the dragon forms just are handled worse. I like dragon gene splicing in 3 a lot more, and I don't like game points being tied to dragons. So that's a downgrade. Other than that, oh, NG Plus. Does this game even have NG Plus? The game is good. I give it like a 7 out of 10, which I think is what I gave Breath of Fire 3. In terms of which one I like more, I don't know. Like, I really like Breath of Fire 4. I might give the edge to 3. I just think 3's story and lore is better. Even if I think it's not executed the best, I think it's better, like, just a little bit. But this game has, like, Folu. I feel like it's kind of a toss-up. It's really hard to pick between them. But I might just barely give the edge to Breath of Fire 3. But I enjoyed my time with Breath of Fire 4 for the second time in my life. And my first time on YouTube and only time on YouTube and Twitch. But overall, the game is good. I give it like a 7 out of 10. I think it's good. In terms of which one is better, it's subjective. People are going to have different preferences and stuff. Like, it's really divided on if people like this game or 3 more. But, you know, I think they're both quality games. They're some of the best PS1 RPGs. Not the best PS1 RPGs, because I can name like 6 PS1 RPGs I like more than the Breath of Fire games. Grandia, Arcalad 2, Lunar Eternal Blue, Wild Arms, probably Xenogears, probably Valkyrie Profile. I have to play Xenogears again, I'm not sure, but they're not the best PS1 games, but they're good. They're good PS1 games. I would highly recommend them. I hope they get ported to like PS Plus or something. That might be kind of shaky with Capcom, but if they do, like, play these games. I think they're really good and they're timeless classics. They're a ton of fun. I would recommend them, but yeah, it's kind of all I have to say. So apparently I'm gonna do the bonus ending, the bad ending. It'll be on YouTube only. I'm gonna load a state and then we're gonna show off the bad ending for Breath of Fire 4. I'm also gonna go back to I've been streaming for 6.5 hours. Have some mercy. But I'm gonna go back to Breath of Fire 3's bad ending too, because I want to show off that bad ending in the playlist. But I'll do it for both of the Breath of Fire games. I'll show off the bad ending. Other than that, in terms of Breath of Fire, doubt I'm going to check out Dragon Quarter unless people want to see it, but apparently that game sucks balls. So we're most likely not going to play Dragon Quarter. Maybe I'll play the original Breath of Fires, but even then, I wouldn't count on seeing those anytime soon. But maybe I'll check out the original 2 games. But other than that, lots of RPGs and stuff to come in the future. It'll be a fun time. Hope to see you all there. But yeah, that's it. I'm done. I need to go eat. Thanks for watching. See you all next time.